Hey everybody, this is Sabrina, your host of About This Aging Thing. And I just wanted to talk to you all one on one for a moment about grief and loss. This has been on my heart for a minute now, and a few people have asked me to speak on it because I've spoken on it in other places. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of it, and what I noticed about grief and loss in our 50 plus tribe is the older we get, so does everybody else. So we tend to, and the longer you live, the more experiences you're going to have. So we tend to experience more loss. Not that you can't be young and experience a lot of loss, but I'm talking about our tribe right now. Someone asked me, how am I continuing to move forward based on what I've experienced? And I'm going to share a little bit of that with you all today. And this is not to make you sad for me or feel bad for me, just to explain the journey and hopefully help someone that might be going through this. So the first loss I experienced was, of course, my grandmother. I say of course because grandmas usually go first, right? And grandparents usually go first. But I experienced my grandmother, and we were very close, but I was really young. I was 12. I did feel the lack of her presence, but I couldn't really process the fact of what had happened. Kids are resilient. So I was able to bounce back from that probably pretty well. The next loss was my brother. My brother and I were so close that people thought when he moved to Atlanta, people thought he was my boyfriend, thought we were dating. He was my brother, though. They saw how he treated me. They saw how we treated each other, how he would come open the door for me, just do things. And they were like, "Oh, that's your brother?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's just so sweet to you." I'm like, "Yeah, my mom raised us to be that way for each other." That was my baby brother. And a lot of people didn't think I was going to be able to come back from that. I didn't think I was going to be able to come back from that. And to be honest with you, I had nothing to do with coming back from that. It was all a higher power. It was absolutely the universe that got me through that. Right after that, my mom passed away 2 years later. Now, my mom was gone before she passed away because losing a child changed her. It was an incredible change watching her not be who she was. And so I lost my mom. And it was so bad that I used to think, I wish it was me that left because I didn't have her either. When my mom passed away, I really thought it was going to take me out. And I stayed alone a lot because I was so depressed. And I contemplated suicide more than once. And God sent a friend, and he came and got me, and he took me to a place where people were struggling, and it forced me to focus on other people and other people's pain, and it got me through what I was going through. After my mother, it was my husband, a man that I was married to, I was with for 10 years. We had one argument. He was a Renaissance man. He was everything. And it was a long loss because it was sickness first and then the loss. We had the privilege of having discussions about him not being here, about what he expected from me while he was sick, about what he expected from me after he left. That was a different experience from my brother, who was also sick. And I was there with him to the end. My brother actually waited on me as he was in the hospital on his last day. And they said he hadn't said anything all day. And then when my mother said, "Your sister's on her way," he tried to talk. He tried to sit up, waiting on me. My mom was not sick. She died suddenly. She always had illnesses and things struggles with her heart. But nobody expected her to die. The day she died, she had taken my daughter to the pool. They went swimming. She cooked dinner. She talked about I was losing weight, but I better not lose my butt, like teasing me. We laughed. We watched Law and Order together that night. Nobody expected her to die. So that was a sudden death. And then my husband, he was battling cancer, and I never expected him to die. I thought he would beat it. Until I saw this article standing in Kroger in the grocery line, and I saw this People magazine, and this young girl, she's 25, she had the same brain cancer, and she had opted to move to a state that allowed you to terminate your life legally, and her family moved there to be with her. And I remember being so angry, thinking, what a coward. Like, how does she know that they're not going to come up with something? And now she's taking her life, and she might miss that opportunity, that blessing. And I realized I made that about me. And once I saw what my husband went through, fighting cancer and the chemotherapy and all that we went through together, I realized why the young lady made the choice that she made, because there was no cure. I was just completely in faith, hoping that something great would happen, some miracle would happen. The reason I wanted to share those short stories is because there are so many people out there hurting, so many people suffering from great losses. And let me say this. Grief is not just about the loss of life. Grief can be a loss of anything. It could be a loss of a relationship. It could be a loss of your child. Not that they're dead, but maybe they're out there in those streets. That's not how you raised them. You don't know how they made that decision. And you've lost that child the child that you knew, the child that you raised. So someone asked me, how do I get through grief? Now, since those losses that I just shared, I've lost many other people. The most recent was a first cousin, and we were raised like sisters. Nobody expected her to pass away. We had talked the Sunday before she passed away. She passed away. They found her on a Thursday, and we talked on Sunday, and we were laughing so hard. I believe I was slobbering while we were talking, and we were laughing about that on the phone. And we were making plans to see each other. And then I got the call that she was gone. Now, my friends worry about me. And they check on me a lot. And because I'm pretty quiet about my feelings and what I'm going through or whatever. But I realized I helped someone a couple weeks ago with this conversation. And I told Lisa, our producer, that I just wanted to get on here and do a quick segment about the losses that we endure as we get older. So this is what I want to talk about. What I decided to do so that death or loss of anything would not take me out was I had to process it differently. It's easier said than done, and it absolutely takes practice, but you can do it. Because I lost so much time being sad, living in limbo. I feel like I lost a lot of time. Now, some people will say, no, you didn't. You used the time that you needed to do what you needed to do. That's true. But I could have done it differently. Not that I'm in a hurry, and not that anybody should tell you how long you should take to process what you're going through. It also could be a loss of a home that you've had forever. It could be a loss of a job that you love that you didn't see it coming. Okay, it could be anything. It could be a loss of a friendship. I've lost a couple of friends along the way. Now, based on my personality, I never thought that would happen. But what I realized when I processed the loss of the two friends that have gone on about their business is that it was absolutely necessary for my life. I didn't even see it then, but I recognize it now that it was necessary for them to move on in my life away from me. So I bless them. I speak nothing but good things about them, and I keep them in my prayers. I want to tell you that you can process death or loss differently and grieve differently, where you can actually grieve and still function. I say that because when I was grieving, I could not function. I realized also that I was in such grief that I couldn't even recognize that So were the people who were closest to me. They were also grieving. They were grieving for me, and they were grieving because they loved the same people that I lost. My mom was a mom to many of my friends. My brother was close to many of my friends, and we had a lot of the same friends. And my husband was a husband to quite a few of my friends, and a big brother. And I couldn't even be there for them because I was too much into my own grief. I couldn't even see clearly. So I just want to say that, how they have the 5 stages or the 7 stages or whatever you're reading, stages of grief. Own those. You don't have to go through the stages because they say they're stages, but own how you're feeling. So when you're this, for me, what happened to me, why I'm able to heal faster now than I was before is because I own how I'm feeling. So if I'm really sad, I'm just going to be sad. I'm not going to be apologetic about it. People who love me and understand, oh, she's, I'll let you know, like I'm not having a good day, so I'm not going to hang out, whatever. But own it. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to pretend you're not sad. That's what makes you nuts. To me, my personal opinion is like when you pretend that you're not sad, it can make you nuts. When you're feeling like you really don't want to be here and you really want to check out, you need to express that. Tell somebody that that's how you're feeling. Someone in my life took their life and nobody had a clue that they weren't happy. Nobody had a clue. So don't be afraid to ask your friends that are acting different the hard questions. Don't be afraid to be there for them. And you don't always have to have something to say. Just be there. Some people just need you to be there. Just be in their house, right? I have a friend who has a huge house. 3 stories up is her bedroom. But I was in her house, not in her bedroom, in the living room, 2 floors down, but she knew I was there. Right? It's just your energy that you bring. Be there for your friends. Be there for yourself. Speak your truth. If you're sad, be sad. If you want to cry, cry. Now, I'm a little bit, different. My friends laugh at me, but like, I'm not a big crier. But if I decide to cry, I'll cry. I feel cleansed. I move on. I wish I could cry more. It just doesn't come to me easily. Now, I'm not trying to be hard. I'm not trying not to cry. It just doesn't come to me easily. Being loud doesn't come to me easily. Sometimes I wish I could scream and I can't. I did a scream therapy class once and the instructor was like, "Are you serious? Is that all you have?" I wish I could scream more, scream louder, because I know it's cleansing. Like when you're on a roller coaster. Now, I don't do roller coasters a lot, but I have been pressured to get on a roller coaster. And when I've done it, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, right? And when I get off of it, it feels so good that I've done that. I wish I could do that roller coaster scream just in general, but it just doesn't come out. But I want to tell you that if you process death differently, and what does that mean? Yeah, you like, Sabrina, what do you mean process it differently? Don't let it take you out. And acknowledge it for what it is. It's a loss. Sometimes, and don't try to understand it. That's the other part. And me being Capricorn and who I am, I want to understand everything. But I have released that need to understand why all these good people are being able to go, and then you see other people who you might not deem good, who seems like they get miracle after miracle and chance after chance, and it makes you angry. I had 2 people. Let me tell you 2 quick stories of other losses. 2 guy friends of mine. One I've known since high school, and we used to date in high school, and we were really good friends throughout after that. Through our, love lives, marriages, children, we stayed in touch and we were friends. And he invited me to come see him probably a year ago. And I was talking to my couple of my best friends, and I was like, I don't know if I should go. We've been doing great, just staying in touch, and I don't know if I should go. Well, I went, and we had a blast, and operated as friends. There was nothing physical. We had a great time. He showed me his city, and we had a great time. And I got home, and probably about a week later, I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw "Rest in Peace" and his name. I'm like, what is going on? And he and I were the only ones. Like, there was no one that in his life that knew how to reach me. So there was no one who could tell me that he had passed away from a heart attack. He had been struggling with his heart, very young to be struggling with his heart. But he had been struggling with his heart. He had a heart attack and he passed away. And I was so, so glad that I went to see him and we had that time together. Another friend of mine, we just started kind of vibing, really started having a good time. And it was Super Bowl Sunday, and we had talked on that Friday about getting together on that Monday, because I had Super Bowl plans, he had Super Bowl plans. So we were like, hey, let's hang out on Monday. And I was just starting to really feel comfortable enough to do that. And I got a call on that Super Bowl Sunday that he was found dead in his home. I tell these stories because I know everybody has stories and everybody has worse stories. You know, you could outdo those stories. Some people feel compelled to go like, well, let me tell you what happened to me. I get it. We all been through that. But what I did do was process it differently. I had to. And I couldn't take it personally. A lot of times we take loss personally. I have a friend who lost a relationship to no fault of her own. This brother just moved way too fast. He had experienced his own loss and had not processed that loss. And then you have this I don't know if anybody has experienced this, but when you lose, whether it be through divorce or through death or whatever, you feel a need to feel normal again. You want to feel normal. You just want to feel normal. You get sick of being sad and you want to feel I was sick of me. So I know my friends were sick of me because I was sad for so long. I was sad for years. And now I'm just not going to do that. Right? I mean, I feel the loss, absolutely. And I might feel the sadness, absolutely. But I can't let it rule over me like that, where I can't be there for other people. I can't even be there for myself. And you think about it. Think about your worst loss, whatever that is, and think about how you process it, if you process it at all, right? Were you under the bed, under the covers? Were you drinking? Were you doing drugs? Were you out there just trying to get rid of the pain, right? No judgment. I'm saying, think about that. Think about how many times can you really do that? And as we get older, we're going to see a lot more loss, which is why I had to realize, I'm going to have to do something different. Because if I keep doing it this way, I'm going to be checked out for real, whether it be mentally, whether it be physically, whether it be me checking myself out. I'm not going to make it if I continue to let every loss hit me the way it was hitting me. And it was every loss that was really close to me. Right. So I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to do something different. So I want to share with you all that I don't want to tell you how to make it different for you because everybody's experience is different. But I want to tell you that to be conscious of making it different. So if you know you're that person that when you lose something or someone, you're angry all the time or mad or whatever to your friends, or you got to call out of work, you just can't function, then you're going to have to, I feel like you should think about pulling back and figuring out another way to feel that way, another way to process that pain and that loss. And there are many days that I don't feel like doing anything. To this day, there are many days, but I make myself, push myself to go outside the door, walk outside the door, stand out in the sun, call up a friend, play music, do whatever you need to do, but don't let it sit on you because it'll just get heavier and heavier and worse. And before you know it, 20 years have gone by and you've missed a whole lot of living The other thing that helped me to process things differently was I thought about the people that are gone, who they were, and who they were to me, and how I don't think they would want me to be this sad where I can't function, which is where I was, right? I don't think they want me to not be able to function. I know my mom would be like, girl, my mom used to say, come in my room to wake me up and say, get up and be somebody. Right now, get up and be somebody. And that was just, she was saying it being funny and laughing, but she meant that. Like, be somebody. And I don't care who you are, just be good at what you do and make sure it's legal. That was my mom's joke. Make sure it's legal. Do what you want to do, but do and be the best at it. And just get up and be somebody. And I hear that sometimes when I don't want to get up. I know that my brother would be absolutely cursing me out if he knew that I allowed him leaving to just beat me down the way I was letting it beat me down. Now, my husband, I have zero excuse, my late husband, because he told me before he left exactly what he expected. And I didn't do those things. I promised, and then I broke my promise. And then that bothered me, that I broke my promise, but I just couldn't get myself moving to not break the promise. Until I had a dream, and he came to me. He was so angry. He was looking at me so disappointed and shaking his head like, we talked about this and you still doing what you're doing. And that kind of shook me a little bit to make me make more of an effort to at least live, breathe, and do good things for myself. So I hope this has helped someone. Somebody's going to say, well, you didn't really say, how do I process things differently? I'm not saying that per se, because I think it's individual. I'm just saying, try to, if you need help, get help, and tell the person who's helping you, because I'm not qualified, right? I didn't go to school for that. Tell someone who you feel is qualified, and it don't even have to be a person in the mental health field. It could be your best friend who just knows you better than anybody, or your sister, or your mom, or your aunt, but somebody who you can say, hey, pull me up when you see me do this. Say this to me when you see me do that. Help me remember. Put things around your home. I used to put words around. I still have lots of, I have 3 vision boards in my house. One's under my refrigerator, one's in the closet, and 2 are in the closet. One's high, it's a small one, and then one's big, it's low, and it's two different things. And I look at them every day, and it reminds me who I am, who I was before all these losses. And I'm not going to lose that person ever again. This life is way too short. I also have a picture of myself when I was my happiest and my youngest, before all the drama. When you're in, well, some people do have drama when they're younger. Let me not discount that. But for me, I didn't have a whole lot of worries in my 20s. So I have this picture of me in my 20s. Just to remind me of the genuine, raw happiness that I used to have as a kid growing up. I had a great childhood in Brooklyn, and in my 20s, I had a great career by the time I was 28 and bought my first house, and things were so happy. And I just remember, I keep those pictures near me on my vision board so I can just remember that genuine happiness, and how even though it may have to shift a little bit as I get older, it's still a part of who I am. And I don't want to lose that young lady because of all the crazy stuff that's happening as we get older. So I hope that helps someone. I love you guys. Have a great day.